you lifted up a piece of the Venice waterfront, what would it look like inside? Let's take a look. We all know that the soil in Venice is very soft. It can only be made firm by driving stakes to compress the surrounding clay. Then the top of the pile is flattened and a layer of wooden planks is laid on top to spread the load. Then a layer of stones was laid to raise the foundation above the water. Next came the construction of the walls. At first, the house was built of wood. But if there was a fire, it would have been a disaster. So we replaced the wood with bricks. In order to reduce the pressure on the foundation, all houses were required to have only 3 floors. The designers also replaced cement with lime mortar. Because it's flexible, it allows the whole building to bend with the slow movement of the ground underneath. Once the exterior walls were built, the craftsmen also fixed iron anchors at the junction of the floors to strengthen the building. As time went on, it became a big problem for people to travel to each other. In the beginning, it was by boat. But as more and more buildings were built, this method of transportation became cumbersome, so they had to start building bridges. As with the houses, over 12,000 stakes were driven into the riverbank before the bridge was built, and 10,000 tons of stones were built on top to form the bridge. To this day, this arch bridge still stands. The next step was drinking water. Even though it was a water city, fresh water was scarce. At first, it had to rely on fresh water brought in from the land. But due to the population soaring to over 170,000, the demand was too great. The designers came up with a genius plan to collect rainwater. First, a large area was dug out of the square, and the walls were waterproofed with a thick layer of clay. The space was then filled with sand and stones and resurfaced with tiles to channel the water to every corner of the square. The rainwater flows in, filters through the sand and stones, and finally reaches the bamboo well in the center of the plaza. In order to maximize the surface area for standing water, gutters were installed on the roofs of nearby buildings to direct the water onto the plaza and into the gutters. In this way, Venice becomes a giant funnel. Finally, there's the problem of garbage disposal. It uses the impact of the tides to clean up the garbage. First, the waste from every house is collected and flushed into the canals. When the tide goes out of the leaky lagoon, the solid waste accumulates at the bottom, and the liquid waste flows into the canals. Then when the tide rises, it hits the tunnels and carries the solid waste into the canals, and the extremely salty water acts as a powerful disinfectant thanks to this system.